welcome to the Innes Robertson radio show. Today I'm going to have a show that's going to explain why I actually believe that UFOs are a real phenomenon. So what I'm going to do is look at two particular cases, one old case, one very, very old case, and re-examine them and basically show you some of the reasons why I take the UFO phenomenon seriously. Obviously, there are hundreds and hundreds, or millions actually, of UFO cases that you could look at, and you could have a whole channel dedicated to that. A lot of people do, but again, you know, I'm not wanting to turn this into a purely UFO channel. So really, I'm just going to look at two cases, like I said, because I think it demonstrates that there's more than just fakery. There are certain things here that prove that there's a phenomenon that needs to be looked into. And obviously, if someone wants to take that further, there's lots of sites on YouTube which go into much more detail and have thousands and thousands of videos of different UFO phenomenon. A lot of those things obviously can be dismissed as fake or other phenomenon, but occasionally there's certain films and things that you see which have lots of different bits of evidence that mean you can't dismiss it. You can't simply say, oh no, this is something which is fake. And the two examples I'm going to look at is, one of them is on the moon landings. There's some interesting phenomenon which can't be easily explained away. And then the other one will be on Earth, a UFO in Jerusalem, which was filmed from many angles, which again is very, very hard to fake and made the mainstream news. So anyway, without further ado, let's start the first one, which was shot on Apollo 16, I believe. Okay, so this is a shot here of the Apollo 16 mission, I believe. And this is the lunar buggy, which they use to move around and explore on the lunar surface. Now, just to show that even the astronauts themselves were aware of what was happening and the phenomenon, this is a quick audio clip from the astronauts on Apollo 16 where they mention the fact that they've had visitors, and it's really telling and quite interesting. So listen to this. Well, there you are. So now we're going to look at the footage itself, the film. And first time I looked at this, I didn't see any phenomenon or anything at all. I just saw the lunar buggy moving around the surface. But then again, you're concentrating on the buggy, really. It's quite interesting. Some of these shots like the original GoPro. Okay, so if we take a closer look, see if you can spot the phenomenon. If not, then I'm going to show you what that phenomenon is in the next few seconds. Okay, so if you didn't spot it, then let me point it out to you now. There, you can see a blue flash and a white flash up in the corner there. Now, people say that could be a camera distortion, it could be just something in the sky, big deal. But here's the interesting thing. I mean, point to the corner here, you see the blue flash. Now, that's just a light in the sky. Like I said, it could be a camera problem, something like that. But let's look on the ground, and there's actually a corresponding mark on the ground. So this happens every time it flashes exactly on the lunar surface. You get this same corresponding flash of darkness or shadow, which shows that the phenomenon is real. It's not on the film. It's actually in the space that we're looking at. So that really, for me, is really quite telling, that this is not a film anomaly. This is not something that's just on the surface of the film or up in the sky. This is something that's connected to a shadow on the ground. So it shows that there is a real thing happening here. And a lot of conspiracy theorists will point to the fact, or maybe this proves it's in a studio and the moon landings never happened. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. But definitely there's something here worth investigating. You zoom in, it's a curious light. It's obviously not a star or anything like that. There's fantastic footage here of the lunar buggy in action. And there you have the light here from another shot. And again, the blue light above and the white light below, and another blue light below actually as well. And you see this phenomenon appears again and again and again on so many different shots. And almost always it corresponds to a phenomenon on the ground, which is just amazing, really. So some more shots of the lunar buggy there. Okay, here's a still image with the blue light in the sky, as we can see. Let's zoom in on this light. And this is where it gets really, really interesting, because if we zoom in, we can see something within the light. It's not just a blue light. It's almost like you can see some kind of spaceship in there. It's interesting you see these white lights within the blue light, because I'll allude to that later on. There's something called redshift, which is important about how objects travel and light travels through space. But here's another shot, and again you can see the white lights in there, almost like a craft within it. Another blue light here further away. And again zoom in, and there's shot after shot after shot. You can see one just disappeared out of the corner there. I'll put it back in focus, or back in the field of view. Yeah, amazing. A very faint one there. Now I think the reason why you see white lights within the blue lights is that I do think that something is appearing, and it's coming towards us. It's appearing through perhaps some kind of portal or something like that. Here's a picture of the lunar module in space, and you can see it up there in that shot too. Again, these things appear shot after shot after shot. Okay, this is from Apollo 10, so an earlier mission. Obviously the camera's not as good. Now look at that. It looks like a camera distortion, but there's a clear shadow on the ground. So something is materializing there in that film and it's casting a shadow on the ground. That means it's not just an anomaly with the film. It's a real phenomenon and it's really affecting the lunar surface as it materializes. And only solid objects will cast a shadow like that. So there you are. Now, these blue lights do appear actually on Earth. It's one of the UFO phenomenons. Blue light is one of the most common ones, blue and orange and red. And just to quickly show you an example of similar blue lights that appeared above Prague.
Yeah, it's a wide angle.
It was really, really far. It looks really far. It's still fucking. It looked for a second like a crop duster. Is this right here? It was had this blue trail behind it. I don't know what the fuck. That was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen.
Okay, let's move on to the other UFO event now. This one was in Jerusalem, about 2012, I believe it was, so some time ago. But the amazing thing about this is it was filmed at the same time by many, many, many different people from lots of different angles. And that really does mean that it puts a lot of weight behind this evidence, because usually if something's faked, it's filmed by one, maybe two people, and it's faked in, they work together, whatever. But when you have multiple sources, different people from different parts of the world who've never met, and official sources all being able to film the same phenomenon at the same time from different angles, then it is a real phenomenon. There's no doubt about that. What it is, that's the question. Anyway, that's for you to decide. So let's have a look at the UFO 2012.
There's a new video this morning that some say may be proof we're not alone in the universe. A UFO in the form of a bright light is seen descending over the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. The video is said to be taken over the weekend. Then suddenly the light shoots up into the sky. There you see it. Another video from a different angle appears to show the light doing the same thing. Those clips have gone viral now.
זה יורד למטה. Whoa!
אתה מצלם? אתה רואה?
אני רואה מה זה.
תגיד, שתים יותר מדי?
לא, לא.
לא, לא, כולנו רואים את זה.
מה זה?
5 עיניים.
שיו!
יואו! רוט, בלין.
מה זה?
Lovely, but is that UFO? Amazing.
Holy shit! Oh, that cool.
You can almost hardly look at it.
We've seen them in Mississippi like this, but never like never like
Ooh! Probably, but that UFO, amazing.
Holy shit! Oh, is that cool?
You can almost hardly look at it.
We've seen them in Mississippi like this, but never like never like
Okay, so there you are. Lots of people will believe in UFOs, lots of people dismiss it. I think what we can say for certain is that there are unidentified flying objects. That's what UFO stands for. Whether or not they are extraterrestrial in nature, interdimensional in nature, or just natural phenomenon, or even military hardware that's being tested, well, that's still open for debate. But I think that's where the debate lies, not whether or not these phenomena exist, really just what this phenomenon is. I think, I would hope anyway, that there is life out there, extraterrestrial life, because I think statistically it's much more likely than not, given the vastness of the universe. It seems less logical that life could only develop in one place at one time. But again, the jury's out on that. One thing I do note is, having studied physics, most of the phenomenon we see is orange or red lights, or blue or violet lights, and that's interesting because there's a phenomenon called redshift, and what happens there is when light's moving towards you, it usually appears at the blue end of the spectrum, and when it's moving away it appears red end of the spectrum, because the way the light waves are either condensed as they move towards you or extended as they move away from you. As the wavelengths change, obviously you change your spectrum. So it seems to me that when you see lots of these red and blue or orange and purple or violet light, it does beg the question that are these objects moving rapidly towards us or rapidly away from us, but they appear to be where they are simply because of the angle or the way that the physics works. I don't know. I mean, that's something worth exploring, because it is a strange coincidence that they seem to choose these lights. Aeroplanes, on the other hand, they do use red, but it's a different kind of red really, and they use green like ships. But you don't often see that red and green on UFOs that aeroplanes use to distinguish between port and starboard. So it's something worth looking into there, I think, possibly. Anyway, I'll continue to watch the skies because it's something I'm interested in, and I really do hope that one day in the near future we can make contact with extraterrestrial life, but we will see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the show. Bit of a short one today, and I'll post another one next week.